I'm Mark Young, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Friendship Village in Tempe, Arizona. Friendship Village Tempe is a nonprofit entity which began in 1980 and provides quality residential housing for seniors, along with a wide array of services and amenities. Friendship Village is managed by Life Care Services, which started in 1971 and currently manages 133 communities in 32 states. Life Care Services manages 33,600 beds and employs more than 23,400 staff. Friendship Village is designed to offer an environment that enriches your life. The village's objective is to offer a lifestyle with services and programs based on your interests that will complement or augment your current lifestyle and well-being. The village's design allows for creativity and healthy lifestyle activities in a comfortable environment. As a life care community, the village offers residents a wide array of amenities and services, including the availability of on-site assisted living, memory care, healthcare center, a nurse practitioner clinic, and long-term care if needed. To learn more about Friendship Village, please visit us at friendshipvillageaz.com or call 480-831-5000. Friendship Village is proud to be a sponsor of the Tempe Historical Society and look forward to today's lunch talk. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to 2021. This is a very special year for all of us in the country, but especially in Tempe because it's our sesquicentennial. This is the 150th year since Charles Trumbull Hayden is credited with settling Tempe. And despite our current pandemic precautions, we'll not be deterred from celebrating this very special year with you and the entire community. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. I also want to thank Friendship Village for their continuing sponsorship of these Lunch Talk series. This is the first since we concluded in November, took December off. So we're starting the year with this particular presentation. And Friendship Village has been a terrific partner and supporter of these events, and we're thrilled that they're continuing with us in 2021. An important part of this year's activities is our series of Tempe History Society lunch talks that help explore various aspects of Tempe history. And one of the most significant contributors to our city is ASU, which was established on March 12th, 1885, just 14 years after the founding of Tempe. And it's really difficult to imagine how our city would have evolved without the school's presence. And that's why we're so pleased to have Dr. Christine Wilkinson with us here today to provide insights into how ASU has integrated into the fabric of our community. If I took all the time necessary to tell you everything about this wonderful woman who was honored by the society, by the way, last year as a Tempe legend, we would still be talking about her by the time of the February lunch talks. Let me just say this, that Christine was born in Utah, but has been a resident of Tempe since early childhood, and that's as close as you get to being a native. From the very beginning, her parents taught by example the importance of education and the value of community service. And I couldn't go in this introduction without acknowledging her father, you know, Bill Kajikawa. So Christine comes from a family with a more than 8-decade association with ASU, and that might be a record. Her dad began what would be a legendary coaching career at ASU back in 1937 and retired from ASU in 1978. He began coaching the Arizona State Teachers College freshman football team in 37. Back then, they were known as the Bulldogs. And during his tenure, Kajikawa watched the Bulldogs become the Sun Devils in 1946 and he saw his alma mater gain university status in 1958. His career is nearly as legendary as Christine. And Christine went to ASU, and after graduating, began her professional association with the university in 1970. She was the first minority female vice president at ASU, breaking glass ceilings and walls for women of color who followed after her. It's impossible to mention ASU without thinking of the Kajikawa Wilkinson family. Before we start, let me mention that because of scheduling issues, today's presentation was pre-recorded, so we won't be able to take questions at the conclusion. But that shouldn't preclude you from giving a big, huge virtual welcome and a return visit to our lunch talks, Dr. Christine Wilkinson.
Thank you so much, Vic. That's just a wonderful introduction, and I appreciate you and Dan inviting me to be a part of this series, and certainly having grown up here and with my dad and my mom involved in so many things related to Tempe. I just feel that the Tempe Historical Society is such a very key part of really keeping all of our history and acknowledging how important it is for us to build upon each other's progress over the years. And I believe those that are listening in probably grew up with Tempe. Many are alums like ourselves. So I greet all of you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about your ASU today, as Dan and Vic asked if I could speak about the new American University. But I do have to mention, because Vic did about 1885 in the founding, just a teeny history. Right behind me is Old Main, as many of you probably know, and it was built in 1894 and was the first building in Tempe to have electricity. So if you go into the ballroom, you'll actually see some lights, which were to be a facsimile of the original. So it's 2 lights down, 1 light up. And the light up were for the candles in case the electricity didn't quite work. So they were going to be covered one way or the other. So with that, I will zoom, easy to say these days, zoom right forward to 2021 and tell you about the new American University. And I will use a PowerPoint, but mostly just to help us all in understanding what we have here. And we would begin with President Crow as the new American University and the ASU Charter, which was developed at that time. And, you know, there's several very key pieces to that. One is that we are about and measured, not by whom we exclude, but whom we include and how they succeed. That relates to our student population. So you must meet the academic standards, but if you do, we will admit you and we will enroll you. And believe me, that's not what a number of other universities do. They just start cutting people off. We also believe in advancing the research and discovery of public value. In other words, we try to solve global problems with local issues because they are related. Just think of the issues related to land and water alone in the majority of the world and how we're working on those issues. And finally, we believe in the fundamental responsibility for the economic, social, cultural, and overall health of our community. And that will be shown related to our pandemic response as we move along. You'll be proud to know that ASU, for the 6th year in a row, has been named the #1 university for innovation. And, you know, I think we are the only institution to ever receive that award, and it's for 6 straight years. But we also have been seen as a university of best value. Here are a few others. I didn't list all of them, but I think a couple are important. Top 10 in the United States for first year experience. Number 16 in the United States for undergraduate teaching. And then if you see over on the right, we're number 7 in the United States for research expenditures, which means we are receiving a number of research grants ahead of Princeton and Caltech. For our students, I just want everybody to know that look at this wonderful chart. When we talk about opportunity and access to higher education, in the fall of '02, we had 7,500 first-generation college students. And most recently of our numbers, 2019, we had 25,000, over 25,000 first-generation students. And why is that important? It's because this not only makes a difference for the individual, it's clearly one of the single most important things that will impact their quality of life, their future employment, and impact their families. So we are very, very proud of that. And at the same time, we do still think it's very important to support quality. So Barrett, the Honors College, has 7,000 students. These are like in the top 1% of their graduating class. They are looking at universities across the nation, and we are listed as the #1 honors college in the nation. And we have students both from in-state and out-of-state on all 4 of our campuses. And if you notice, 600 honors courses each year. And I do want to mention that while you have those students, we have about 49% of them going on to graduate school, which includes medical school and law school, and then the others going straight on into employment. They've won every major national award for undergraduate student honors as they graduate. So again, you can be very proud. I bet some of your family members are part of those. And what about ASU's response to COVID-19? We started internally with what we call the community of care. And we even had kits. Every single faculty, staff, and student received a community of care kit to start them off with masks, sanitizer, some wipes, and then and even a thermometer to check your temperature. And we've told everybody to be a community of care, to always, and our slogan was, masks up, forks up. Live well and be well. And it has worked. Believe it or not, our on-campus residence hall students had a lower percentage of COVID than anybody in the surrounding area. And for all of you in the public sphere, ASU developed the first publicly available saliva-based test in the nation since July, and we worked very hard to get this to underserved communities, rural communities, and so we've offered it not only in Maricopa County, but all around the state. And we have tested over 500,000 people since January. So if any of you still are hesitant about getting the test, just go to our website and you can look, or you can go to the state's website for COVID-19 tests and look for the saliva-based test of ASU. We have one right over in the baseball stadium, for example. You can register for it and you can go every day if you wanted to. I just had one done today, and you get it back within about 48 hours. So this helps relieve you and your family of the anxiety. And then we have a luminosity team made up of students. So our students worked very hard, and believe it or not, they developed, for all of us who have glasses, it fogs up. This is a fog-free mask design, and 70 countries competed, and our students won. There were over close to 1,000 entries, and they won $1 million, $500,000 for themselves, and the other for other research. Oops, excuse me. And then what do we do to help our educational system? Through ASU Prep Digital, we offered to help the schools with additional coursework as they had to either close or go to remote. And if you notice the schools listed on the page, there are a number, again, in areas where they would not have had the opportunity to get either remote learning or have instruction in certain of the classes. So we provided it for them. And then for the teachers in all of those districts, we provided a 5-day intensive training so that they could learn to use Zoom, use other technical platforms to help them with their teaching. This slide was earlier this summer. We've now taught over 6,000 teachers to help them accommodate to the new environment. Then I'd like to show you a little bit about the capital projects, because each one of these, while they're a facility, will represent different programs and outreach, some of which you're familiar with, and others, as you drove around Tempe, you go, I wonder what that is. So I'm happy to show you what they are, and that even in spite of the pandemic, we are moving forward. The first is a biomedical research lab building. And this is the Wexford building in downtown Phoenix that's just getting ready to open. It's part of a big 30-acre Phoenix biomedical campus, of which the city of Phoenix, all 3 public universities are a part, and ASUs will be used for startups, anything that would involve research, our allied health and our nursing programs, and it will include collaboration with the other 2 universities as well. Well, here's my favorite place. It's Old Main, and to the right of it, for those of you who went to school, the Language and Literature building. So if you drive by on University Drive, you will see that they've painstakingly constructed that whole building over, it'll be 3 years, and then they have put the red brick to match as close as possible to Old Main and the University Club, because that was a historical part of the university. And they will also probably redo that whole lawn area as well. Many of you know about the Hayden Library. This one was a whole reinvention. If you walk to the campus and walk inside, it now is just all open, no turnstiles, no desks, nothing to have to worry about checking in. We also closed the moat so you can walk right into the building, and they're open, I believe, 7 days a week, and they even have food in there now. Who ever heard of having food in the library? But we do. There's a lot of study carrels, a lot of gathering places. And so many of our students use this just for quiet space to study. Going back to our health area, this is over by the Mayo Hospital, way in the north part of Phoenix. And we have a major collaboration with them so that now we are Mayo's partner. So if a student is working on their medical degree, they can also get a grad degree in healthcare delivery. And at the same time, we have our bioinformatics program and other research that we'll be doing right on site with Mayo. This is also ready to open. Okay, so then you're wondering what that huge building is on University and Rural, you know, right by where that canal used to be, and there used to be like a hand car wash. This is our Interdisciplinary Science and Technology building, number 7. It will be the largest research building we have at the university. And believe it or not, we wanted to keep the historical reference. So they, in the construction, they dried up the canal, they saved the canal, and we're going to have the canal on the first floor of the building. And it will be used for part of the research. For our students on the Polytechnic campus, we just opened the Lantana Residence Hall, and any of you who would like to have a visual tour, I'd be glad to have it sent afterwards. It's just amazing what students have available to them now, and very different than when any of us were in school. Like, I've had parents go through some of these residence halls and they go, "Can I sign up?" Because there really are very, very nice settings. Another one we have going up on the downtown campus will have that whole, see the three structures in gray? That's going to be a big entrepreneurial center. So anybody who wants to work on projects, start their own companies, anything having to do with initiatives related to entrepreneurs, they can live in the residence hall, and they can also be a part of working right there on the ground floor. Some of you know that the Thunderbird School of Global Management merged with ASU, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago now. And a couple of years ago, a decision was made to move their headquarters right downtown. So it's connected to, not connected, but right next door to our law school building, which is also fabulous. But this will help us promote our global reach. And as you know, it's been a graduate program, but we have now added an undergraduate program to it as well. I heard there might even be like refreshments up at the top level for the students again. And look at this, we're in California. If any of you remember the Hearst family, this was the Hearst family's Herald Examiner building. It's about 100 years old. And this particular lobby and the elevator would have taken you up to William Randolph Hearst's actual office. And it was designed by one of the very first female architects, I think at the turn of the century, Julia Morgan, who they said did such a fabulous job that she is the one that did his major home up in Northern California. This will now become, and it's a very long rectangular building, will be the home base for Arizona State University in Los Angeles. So perhaps by next fall, if any of you over there, you could go and tour that building. It will include a piece of the Cronkite program of mass communications. It will include a lot of our fine arts facilities, general programming. And then remember I talked about that new research building on university and rural. In order to help with pedestrian traffic, we have also designed a new walkway across at that point. It supposedly is wide enough there might be a little restaurant either at one end or the other. And I think it looks really nice. Okay. ASU at Mesa City Center. We are collaborating with the City of Mesa to renovate a building that, as you can see, is multi-stories, and then we'll have a screen outside so that the city can use that for public programming as well. And then inside, we will have some of our arts programs and some of our, for those of you who are following the virtual reality, artificial reality research. This will be 2 stories high, and we're actually working with Steven Spielberg right now and have a dreamscape adventure that's already been developed, which we will now use in classrooms. It's, you know, you put the goggles on, it's absolutely amazing that you're right in what you're studying. Like you could go right through a vein or an artery and see what is going on there. And those courses are being developed right now. Okay, and some of you may even be living in here. This is Mirabella. That's where the Tempe Shopping Center was, and this has been going up for about 3 or 4 years. Don Dotz, our executive director of the Alumni Association for many years, was one of the very first occupants. It features 246 independent living apartments in a variety of floor plans, as well as 52 healthcare units, multiple dining facilities, an indoor pool, a rec area, and also obviously a connection to ASU. They get a campus card just like they were a student. So I hope you get to visit there, and I'm sure some friends are there already. Remember, right there where Tempe Shopping Center is. And then last one, one is Mirabella, which I mentioned, and then this was just approved, and let me think if I can help you with the siting of this. Our former baseball stadium on Rural, there is a multi-level parking structure, and then it would have been a parking lot on the baseball stadium. That's where this is going to go. And while it looks fairly large, it's to hold about 5,000 people. We're hoping for the home for the hockey arena, several of our other Olympic sports, and then just a general multi-purpose arena where we just need a lot of space about that size. And I drove by there today, and they've already broken ground. So that's going to be up fairly soon as well. Can you believe all of this growth, all of what is going on? That is just a very quick snapshot. Students and access, quality, what we're doing in the community related to the pandemic and the overall health of the community, and then how we're expanding resources, facilities to meet the needs in our research area, our student learning environment, and also reaching out to our closest state, California, where we have over 50,000 alums and is our biggest number of students who are enrolling to ASU. So I wish I could be there in person so I could answer some questions, and perhaps Vic might have some too. So I'm going to turn it back over to him.
Thank you so much. It's unimaginable for those of us who have lived or been in Tempe for any period of time to see the amount of growth and change that's taken place. For most of its life, there was just one campus. And how many are there today?
Well, we have 4 campuses and a couple of other sites. So you have the Tempe campus, the downtown, west, and the Polytechnic campus. And then we have Sky Song in the south part of Scottsdale. And then we have we have a location in DC. And then we're going to have this major location in LA, although we're already over there in another set of buildings. So, yeah.
I'm really impressed by the Herald Examiner building.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe I'll re-enroll and go back to ASU over in California. What a magnificent building.
It really is. I've toured it several times, and it is amazing what this architect did, so that even during the earthquakes, it was one of the buildings that withstood all of that. And it still has this beautiful windows where people didn't have large windows. She designed them, and they're still in good enough shape that they've taken them out or saving them and putting them back in for when it reopens. It's fabulous.
Well, and back when that building was constructed, it was more in an era when labor was the cheapest component. And that's why you can see all of that ornamentation. Plus, someone once observed, particularly for Victorian buildings and earlier, that they were constructed in an era when people walked or rode a horse or a trolley, some slow pace where it took a period of time to go past the building. Today, with the automobile, you go past a building so fast you can't take in its architecture, and that's why they become much more streamlined. And I'm personally a big fan of the Victorian architecture and the ornateness. I wish we had more of that here in the valley. ASU, I believed when it started as the Tempe Normal School, began with something like a dozen students or so. And what's the population of the ASU campus and then the entire system?
We'd have about 55,000 on the Tempe campus, and we'll have over 120,000 enrollment in all the campuses. But that also includes our fast growing online program. I'd say we would probably have, I could be way off on this, but I want to say almost 60,000 just even in online.
Does that make ASU the largest university in the country?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. I'm not sure anybody could have imagined that back in 1885. And you've had such a long history with the school. And as I said in the beginning, I think, between you and your father, nobody else has ever had that many years affiliated with a single institution. Can you compare for us maybe a little how things have changed and what ASU was like when you first came? You went to school there, but your employment started in 1970. What are the changes that you've seen over the years?
Yeah. Well, I'd also mention just even growing up here as a child, Greta Gamage Auditorium was being built, but the malls that everybody sees now were city streets. You probably knew that, and some of the others. But there will be photos during that time in the 50s, up to about the middle 60s, where there's cars in front of the MU and there's cars in front of the residence halls. And people go, how did that happen? And I said, well, because it was a city, it was a town. And then where the eastern edge of the Tempe campus, those were all subdivisions. And, a lot of the faculty and staff lived there. So even physically, it's just so different. Growing up, actually, when I went to school, they also probably doubled the size of the population from the time I was a freshman to the time I was a senior. So there was huge growth even then. But I think that the university, by the time that President Crow arrived, had matured to a certain level. And then he was able to take that foundation and just, make it blossom in just so many ways related to the diversity of the students internationally, all the different programs and colleges. So I think that's a basic difference, is it just moves so much more quickly in multiple different ways when initially it started as a teacher's college.
How many presidents have you worked for?
Well, we're lucky in that we've had our presidents have long tenures. So I was appointed when I became a vice president, I was appointed by Laddie Core, and he served for 13 years. And I think Michael is going on 2000, well, he's been here since 2002. And before that was Russ Nelson. And trying to think if I think I might have been an early professional under Durham. And if not, I was a student. So see, not very many. In the amount of time that Michael has been president at ASU, the U of A's had something like 5 presidents. That will give you an idea. So longevity in your leader and the creativity of the leader will make a significant difference because you can advance.
Yeah, tenure is really important, and it does give a continuity. And I remember meeting with Michael Crow when I was affiliated with the chamber shortly after he came here. Oh. And his vision then seemed a little bit ambitious to me. I wasn't sure that he'd be able to accomplish it, but he outlined what the university would be like in a decade, and he certainly surpassed that. Which gets to the question: how do you think ASU has impacted Tempe? As I said in the beginning, it's hard to imagine what our city would be like if it didn't have a major university like ASU. And during its earlier years, it was concentrated on the 20 acres that was originally provided for the construction of the school. But as it expanded, it started to actually take city land and build on that. We lost San Pablo, for example, when ASU expanded to the north.
Oh, yeah.
So it has had an impact on the city, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I think there's always a little tug for towns that have universities. It can be a positive collaborative arrangement, or they can be at odds with each other. I think for the most part, ours has actually been a very good partnership. And even as the university has grown, it also has provided many more local businesses to prosper that wouldn't be able to do it otherwise, just because of our sheer population right in the university community that frequent all of these mom and pop places and local restaurants. And even now, I think during the pandemic, they tried really hard to help keep them open. So I think that actually has been good. I think we've grown up together, and more often than not, the leadership of Tempe have also been ASU graduates. And so they understood the value of the university. If I could comment for just a couple of minutes, another really good example of that is in Phoenix. It was probably one of the only states where only cities where there was a bond election to help with the giving of the land of ASU by the city. It passed, and then in true President Crow fashion, he said, it passed in March. He said, we're going to have it ready to open in August. And everybody didn't believe him. And then he also told the faculty, if you're moving down here, you'll have better facilities than you even had it in the Tempe campus. And he delivered on both. So that area was dark. That area was quiet. That area also had a lot of not positive things happening down there. Since that time, if you drive down there, it's a 24 hours, 7 days a week, lively, more buildings, more apartments, more businesses all going down there. So it does have a very positive impact in the surrounding community.
So ASU getting to the size that it is today couldn't have done that on this campus. There just isn't enough room. And I guess, depending on how you look at it, it's a little sad our hometown college has grown far beyond the borders of Tempe. That's good for ASU, but it's a little bit nostalgic, I think, for those of us in the city that always knew that this is where ASU is. Now you got to go, what school are we talking about? Because, they're all over the place. Any idea of how many? Go ahead.
This is still the home base for all of our Tempe people, including me. This is still, no matter what, the home, the mothership.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. Do you have any idea of how many graduates of ASU choose to ultimately live and work in our city?
Well, we could probably get that. I would say that we are one of the universities that retains more of our graduates within the state. But even if you think of our population, about 9, well, actually, yeah, it's over over 50% of our alums stay. Over 90% of those in Arizona are in Maricopa County. The vast majority of them are in the East Valley. If we did a heat map of the valley, it's a very large group in the East Valley, around Tempe and east. Then there's a group in Scottsdale. There's an interesting group up in the Northwest Valley, but those are the big clusters.
And another question too. I mean, you've gone. I don't know how many other people that work at Tempe have even gone through 5 presidents. That's a remarkable career. But in your estimation, what are you most proud of ASU? And along with that, how many different positions have you held at the university?
Well, somebody asked me, so I finally had to look. I think I've had 18 different positions at the university. As far as what I'm most proud of, I think a couple of things. One, most importantly to me, are the students that we are bringing into the university and graduating. I tell people that, and I'm on the platform party during commencement, and we ask how many students volunteer while they're going to school. Please stand, and there's always a good number. How many work while they're going to school, and it's even larger. And then they say, how many of you are the first in your family to graduate from college? And the numbers, they just stand out, and I get chills. It's a big deal. It's really, really a big deal, and it's so important. And that's why I believe I'm here. We're preparing the future leaders. So that's important. And I think the other companion piece is that your teachers are not only at a university level, are not only disseminating knowledge, they're creating knowledge. They're creating the cures, they're creating the inventions, the fact that those students did the masks. And I think people don't realize that. People don't understand that a university actually did that. And that's part of the United States history. Rather than having private companies do the research, the applied research, most of the senior mature universities are the ones that are the hotbeds of research. And so those would be the two.
And I'm quite impressed personally with ASU's accomplishments with regard to the pandemic. 2 major contributions. One, just being the simple concept of creating a mask that doesn't fog your glasses. I don't know anyone that hasn't complained about that. I don't mind wearing a mask, but I can't see where I'm going. So I'm looking forward to those coming on the market as soon as possible. And the other, as you mentioned, was the saliva test for detecting the coronavirus. I had it done last week, and I'm telling you, it's a lot better to, it takes a little experience, and you gain it rather quickly to learn to spit into a straw rather than suck stuff out. And the vial isn't very big, but it sure takes a long time to, oh my God, does that line keep going up? You have to fill to a certain line. And I think it only took, they told us 48 to 72 hours. And I think we got it back. My wife and I both did it in just about 24 hours. So that really is helpful. And I would encourage anyone to take those tests. And I believe wherever they're offered, it's free. So all you have to do is register, and the whole process from the time you visit the site to the time you leave, you don't get out of your car. It's only about 15 minutes. So it's very quick, and it's a lot less uncomfortable than having a giant thing stuff up your nose. I don't want to do that. So
you make a really good point. The public site nearest Tempe would be Phoenix Muni Stadium, which I mentioned, and it's exactly what you said. Once you register for it, you just stay in your car. So if it reduces your own anxiety or or the people around you, it is worth taking. And it is free, and it does come back in a shorter amount of time than a number of the other tests. We are trying right now to be certified to offer the vaccinations too. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we'll be able to do that. And President Crow has already said, I want everybody ready. We'll get our nursing students to help out, whatever it takes to help the community in that. So that's our next step. And we're also developing another saliva-based test that's even going to be simpler. We're hoping it will be developed within a couple of months, and it will be like a little kit. And you just get the kit and you spit into it, and it'll have a certain kind of mechanism that within just minutes you'll know. Again, these are brains. These are intellectual minds that I couldn't think of how to even do it.
Well, and these are practical applications, not theoretical types of research, and that's really important. I don't know what the association is. I had my test done in Mesa, and it was free, but my understanding was that it was associated with ASU. Does ASU actually do the analysis on the test, or is that through a contractor?
No, we're the ones that do it, and any of the saliva-based sites would be ASU, and then they're brought back, and then we run them through. We have robots that actually are running through the samples.
Oh, that's great. And I think for anybody that wants it, I'm sure you can go online and find out all of the locations. So if ASU is not convenient, there might be a location closer to one's residence. Well, I really want to thank you, Christine. You gave us a great overview of ASU, and we want to congratulate you for being a 2020 legend, a 2021 legend, a 2022 legend. We'll go through all of the years. You have made Tempe and Arizona's lives much better by all of your community contributions. And I just wish there were more like you coming along. We're in such a fast-paced, changing world that I'm concerned for the future. And your dedication and service to the community has been immeasurable. And on behalf of the outside world and our virtual viewers, I really want to thank you for all you've done and for taking time to visit with us today.
You're most welcome, and believe me, the next group is coming up, and they're brighter than all of us, and they really do care about giving back. I'm mentoring a few right now, and you'll be real proud of them.
Super. Thank you again. This was a great presentation. Before we leave today, I do want to make a special mention of someone behind the scene. I think if you look up on your screen, you can't see him. Maybe he's willing to show his face. Dan Miller, who is the museum's everyman, coordinated the technology for making today's lunch talks possible. And when we do them at the museum, he operates all the equipment. Dan, are you there? Can we see you? Can you wave? Can you say hello? There he is. I'm jealous of the hair and the beard. Pardon, Christine?
I said thanks to Dan very much, and I'm frozen on the screen, but I am thanking you, Dan.
Yeah, Dan is always there when you need him. A couple of other things before we leave. I want to make note of course, we discussed in the beginning our sesquicentennial. We had hoped this would be a free and clear year, that we could be doing things where we can all gather in person, but obviously we can't do that right now. But I really think, given all of these troubled times, our sesquicentennial can be something that to raise our spirits and make us feel good about the place in which we live. Tempe is a great city. There's a lot coming in its future, but over this year, we really want to take a look at our past and see all the things and the people like Christine that have made this such a special city. So look for notices of activities. The museum is planning exhibits for when we can reopen. Also some mobile exhibits. You can go online to the museum's website and find out all that it's doing. Plus, you can't have a sesquicentennial year without having some sort of gifts and souvenirs that relate to the sesquicentennial. So the Society, in partnership with the museum, has opened an online gift shop. If you go to our website, it's simply tempehistory.org. At the top of the screen, you'll see a button that says shop, I think is what it is. And right now we've got almost 24 items specifically related to the Tempe. Over the years, everybody has asked me about the tie, which I think is one of the greatest kind of graphic designs the city has done. Thanks to the museum's director, Brenda Abney, we found a cache of these ties that have been locked up in some city storeroom for years and years. And for the first time, we're making those available. And the tie itself is historic. It's probably was done 25 years ago. And so you'll have an opportunity, if you go to the gift shop online, to be able to purchase the tie. Also, we know that the ladies are not particularly fond of wearing ties. So we've taken this wonderful design and turned it into a scarf, which is really terrific. And it's got all of the elements that we recognize for Tempe. And you'll find those two, plus a lot of other things in our gift store, and that'll increase over time. Just in looking further ahead, you might want to put November 7th on your calendar. We're assuming that the way the vaccinations are going, that we will be able to do things in person near the end of 2021. So November 7th, we've reserved Beach Park for a gigantic celebration. This will be the culmination of everything that takes place during the year. But there are a lot of other things that are coming. If you look at our website, follow us on Facebook, follow the museum on Facebook, you'll be able to be up to date on everything that's happening. So next month, another very special guest, and not many people know that he is a native of Tempe, and he'll explain why and how that happened. But Dan Harkins, his dad, Red Harkins, came from the Midwest to Tempe, opened a open air theater in Beach Park, and had a couple of indoor theaters, had so much success that he finally built his own theater that had many innovations, a photo cell operated drinking fountain. Today we don't take much, pay much attention to that, but this was automatic, and that's something that Red Harkins designed. The lights inside the audience chamber were designed by Red. They changed colors and fade. That was something that was very unique. And Red also designed FM multiplex. This guy was really creative, and I don't know if Dan has all the inventive skills of his dad, but he has certainly transformed one little theater in a small town into an empire of movie houses. So Dan will be with us next month and talking about reliving Tempe 1933 to 1963 or 1993. And should also note that Dan is another Tempe legend that was honored in 2020. So I think that is everything. I really want to thank all of you for joining us for this excursion into ASU. And we still look forward to the time when we'll be able to get together and have Mary Ann Quillis's great pastries and the coffee. But in the meantime, we ask you to stay healthy. Today, I believe, is the first day that you can register online, particularly for those over 75. To get a vaccine. I encourage you to do that, even if it's going to take a little bit of time. I know there's a backup, but the vaccine is the thing that's going to best get us past this COVID-19. So with that, thank you very much. We will see you in February. Have a great month in the meantime. Bye-bye.